Round 4 action is almost underway and a big weekend of football ahead, including a rumble in the jungle to find out who the true king really is. And a possible set of upsets could go down this weekend as well. If you're an Essendon supporter, there's enough to sink your teeth into. All this and more in the next instalment of AFL 2018 season predictions. Round 4 teams and tips.
There's Godzilla.
What's going on, Godzilla Nation? This is Godzilla back again with another AFL 2018 season predictions, teams and tips video looking at round 4 action. Thank you for joining me as always. Before we get this started, if you haven't seen the podcast for the round 3 recap, I urge you to go do so. It did come out a little bit late. I expect these in future to be coming out around midday on Wednesdays. Life unfortunately gets in the way sometimes, but we still managed to get it out for you guys, and I hope you guys enjoy. However, we're looking at round 4 action this week, kicking off tonight. Adelaide Crows versus Collingwood over in Adelaide. Darcy Fogarty comes in for Adelaide. Lachlan Murphy out with an injury. Daniel Talia playing game 150 for the club. All the best to him. Jordan De Goey comes in for Collingwood, with Taylor Adams doing a hamstring injury at training during the week. We're going to get our tip in, and I'm backing Adelaide in Adelaide. Adelaide and Adelaide are really hard to knock off. Richmond learnt that a few weeks ago. Collingwood is going to learn that tonight. I'm just hoping Collingwood have learnt how to spell in the week that they've had, and they have a banner with correct grammar on it. That's the only thing really they need to worry about, because unfortunately I think tonight's going to be a bit of a whitewash, backing Adelaide by at least 40 plus points. Moving on to Saturday action, GWS taking on the Fremantle Dockers. In for Giants, Toby Green, Dawson Simpson and Ryan Griffin, with Rory Lobb out injured. Josh Kelly, the big shock there, out injured as well. And Harry Perryman has been omitted from the lineup. Fremantle are going in unchanged. Unfortunately, GWS are going to get the chocolates here. Toby Green has been a missing cog in the GWS lineup the last couple of weeks. He's going to come out, he's going to kick at least 3 goals, and going to have a very impactful game for the Giants, who are just going to continue on their roll. Heading over to the MCG, rumble in the jungle looking for supremacy. Richmond takes on the Brisbane Lions. Josh Caddy and Dion Prestia, the premiership duo, return for the Richmond Tigers. Sam Lloyd has been omitted, and Jack Higgins, although had an impressive debut last week, he's been omitted to make way for Josh Caddy as well. For the Brisbane Lions, Dane Beams comes back in, and Zach Bailey gets to debut for the Lions. Ryan Lester has been omitted, and Cedric Cox has been omitted as well. Dane Beams returning and playing his 150th game on the hollowed turf of the MCG. However, as the last few years has predicted and shown, the Tiger is the one that is going to reign supreme and the true king of the jungle. Richmond's going to get the job done against Brisbane. Call it bias because they're my team. Do whatever you want. But I just feel last week Richmond got back on track with a decent win against Hawthorn. But this could be a closer game than people think, and it could actually be an upset because Brisbane showed a lot against Port Adelaide and Adelaide. But I will always back my team to get the job done, and I'm tipping the Tigers. We head over to Etihad Stadium, the Western Bulldogs taking on the Sydney Swans. Shane Biggs comes in for the Bulldogs. Zane Cordy out on suspension. Alir, Zach Jones and Nick Newman all come in for Sydney, with Lewis Melican, Sam Reid and Gary Rowan all exiting the side. Melican and Reid both injured, Rowan just getting a rest. Young gun Callum Mills plays game 50 for the club. And they're going to stand up for him in his 50th game. Sydney's going to get the job done with ease, I feel. Bulldogs got back on track last week and played some decent football. But I don't think they're going to be able to match the depth and power of the Sydney Swans. Heading over to Optus Stadium, the West Coast Eagles hosting the Gold Coast Suns, playing back-to-back over there, the Gold Coast. Josh J. Kennedy making his huge return for the West Coast Eagles. Liam Duggan back in as well. Mark Hutchings has been omitted. And Liam Ryan, unfortunately, will be benched for about 3 months with that ankle injury that he sustained. Mark Lacroix plays game 200 for the club. Nick Natanui plays game 150 for the Gold Coast Suns. Jack Bowes comes back in after serving a suspension. Pierce Hanley out injured. Aaron Hall plays game 100. And if there is going to be a game where the West Coast Eagles stand up and get their fans excited and put on a clinic, it is going to be this game. West Coast Eagles are going to win by about 50 points. Josh Kennedy's going to come back and kick 4 goals of his own. Mark Lacroix is going to kick 3. And the superstar is going to get the ovation he deserves at the end of the game. Absolutely incredible season Mark Lacroix's had so far. An absolutely stellar career. And if this is the year he wraps up, then I'm backing him to have big input this season. West Coast are going to continue their fly from last week against Geelong and soar over the top of the Suns. Rounding out Saturday action, North Melbourne taking on Carlton. Robbie Tarrant comes in after that hamstring worry that saw Majak Dor replace him late. Nathan Hrovat out injured. Cameron O'Shea, Jack Silvani and Lockie O'Brien debuting for the club this week for Carlton. Caleb Marchbank out injured. Cameron Paulson has been omitted. And Jed Lamb has been omitted as well. And now this can go 50-50. If you haven't seen my podcast, the point that I wanted to point out was North Melbourne so far, they've wavered a little bit in confidence and moving forward. They lost their first game. Then they absolutely obliterate St Kilda. They just forget that momentum. They come into last week's game, get absolutely squashed again. This could go 50-50. Carlton could potentially pull off their first win here. However, even though I predicted North Melbourne to win the wooden spoon, I'm backing North Melbourne to win this game. I just feel North Melbourne have a little bit more depth and coverage on field to get the job done. However, it would not surprise me if Carlton managed to get over the top and secure their first win for the season. That rounds out Saturday action. Moving on to Sunday, Etihad Stadium, Essendon taking on Port Adelaide. In for Essendon, and this is an extended bench, guys, so bear with me. Matt Gwilfie named to debut alongside Michael Hartley, Kyle Langford, Sean McKernan and Jackson Merritt. Only one of these guys will be able to play because the only out is Chompers Connor McKenna serving a 3-week suspension for biting a dog. Let me know who you think's going to take that spot. I personally feel Sean McKernan might get his run. However, naming a debutant might mean Matt Gwilfie gets his first chance at AFL action. Looking at Port Adelaide, they've got an extended bench as well. Jared Leinart, Carl Amon, Joe Atley, Trent McKenzie and Jake Need. Trent McKenzie and Jared Leinart both debuting for the club. We know what Trent McKenzie can do on the field, obviously from the Gold Coast. Sam Powell-Pepper out on a club suspension. I'm backing Carl Amon to come in. And I'm also backing Port Adelaide to get the job done against Essendon. Port Adelaide, they're just the pinnacle at the moment, even though I feel Brisbane were rightfully rubbed raw last week in the final minute by the umpires. I just feel Essendon have fallen off after their first round win against Adelaide, and they're going to continue to fall, which is a bit unfortunate, but I'm backing Port Adelaide to get over Essendon at the Etihad Stadium. We head on over to the other side of the city for the MCG. Hawthorn taking on Melbourne. Another extended bench. Connor Glass, James Sicily, James Cousins, Brendan Whitecross, David Mirror, and Mitch Lewis, all named as ins. David Mirror and Mitch Lewis debuting, if that's even a word, debuting for the Hawks. Caden Brand has been omitted, and Will Langford has been omitted. I'm going to back David Mirror to get his first run here, as well as James Sicily coming in for the club. Ben Stratton plays game 150 with the Moulay. Heading over to Melbourne, Angus Brayshaw, Billy Stretch, Mitch Hannon, Sam Weedman and Jaden Hunt all named. Dom Tyson has been dropped due to illness. Christian Salem plays game 50. And this is going to be a really close match. But I'm going to back Melbourne to upset the Hawks here. Melbourne last week showed that when they combine, they are a powerful, powerful force. Max Gawn's going to have an absolute field day in the middle. I think Oliver might run with Tom Mitchell, I feel. Tom Mitchell's going to rack up almost 50 touches on the day, but I don't think it's going to be enough. Melbourne's still going to get the job done. Then, final game of the round, the Geelong Cats taking on St Kilda. Another extended bench lineup here. Reece Stanley, Charlie Constable, Jordan Cunico, Mitch Duncan, Jordan Murdoch, Zach Smith and Jackson Thurlow, all named as ins, with the obvious trio of Gary Ablett, Cameron Guthrie and Nakia Cockatoo all out injured. Charlie Constable named to debut. Would not surprise me if Zach Smith comes back in. And I'm glad to see youngster Radigalia still stay in the team and get a run, even though the big boys are named to come back into the side. Looking at St Kilda, Sam Gilbert, Tom Hickey, Jack Steele, Hunter Clark, Jack Loney and Logan Austin, all named as ins. Logan Austin named to debut against the Cats. Jimmy Webster's out injured. Nathan Wright has been omitted. Jack Steele's going to come back in, and I feel Logan Austin might get his chance this weekend. But I'm going to tip the Cats. The Cats are going to bounce back. Last week, they showed in that third quarter term, if a team is caught snoozing, they'll pounce back and they'll attack hard. And obviously, as we've seen, St Kilda have been snoozing since round one. So, Cats, 20 plus points. Going to be a good game, and they're going to get it done without the little master Gary Ablett. Hopefully we see him back on the field sooner than later. But wrapping up and just recapping the tips for this week, I'm going with Adelaide, GWS, Richmond, Sydney, West Coast Eagles, North Melbourne, Port Adelaide, Melbourne, and Geelong. Be sure to make your comments count and your voices heard by leaving your votes in the comment section down below. This week, I'm doing something different. I'm not going to put the tally up on the screen. I'm going to build a little bit of tension and make you guys sweat on a week that, well, last week saw a lot of people tip a decent amount of things right. So the tally has shifted a bit, and we also picked up 2 new voters in last week's episode. So next week will be an updated tally, just to show you guys where people are at, and see whether good old Godzilla is still sitting on top of that tipping ladder. But that's it for another AFL Season 2018 predictions video, guys. Thank you for joining me as always. Continue to smash that thumbs up button like you have been, and show your support for this AFL series as well as the podcast. I cannot thank you guys enough for all the support you have thrown behind that so far, and it's something I'm looking at venturing into and maintaining from here on out, so get excited for that. If you're new to the channel and you like what you see, go check out everything else I've got on offer. Get on board the Godzilla Nation by hitting subscribe. Hit me up on my social media links down below. I'm especially active now on my Twitter account. So if you've got any questions, any suggestions, hit me up on Twitter. I reply to all my messages and all the tweets that come my way. Hit that notification bell before you leave, guys, so every time a new video comes to the channel, you guys get notified straight away. But that's it from me. I'm out of here, and as always, I will catch you guys next time.